What's up everyone? This is just me basically trying something a little different than what I usually do. Unlike most of my videos, this will be unscripted, so if I stutter or my grammar is incorrect or anything like that, I do apologize. Like I said, this is unscripted. So without further ado, I'm just going to get started. This is basically a video of me kind of talking about this year so far as movies go. I'll talk a little bit about games. I haven't played very many games. I've only played I played some other games. I haven't played just only 2, but as far as the games that have come out this year, I've only played 2 games. So, which I will mention those later in the video. But right now, I'm just going to talk about some movies that I've seen, or I guess some movies that are worth mentioning. Overall, this year hasn't been, I wouldn't say it's been the worst, but it hasn't been great. I mean, there were some movies I was interested in, like obviously Man of Steel. I'm just going to jump in there. Man of Steel, I was really hoping to be, I guess, a lot more than what it was. I did see it a second time. I have a lot more problems with it now than I did the first time. I noticed a lot more, I just had a lot more issues with it the second time than I did the first. And that's primarily in the writing and the dialogue. I thought some of the dialogue is absolutely horrible. So hopefully for the next one, they'll get another writer. Don't rely solely on David Score, because obviously he cannot write. When it comes to dialogue, I think he's got good ideas, but when it comes to actually writing dialogue, he needs work. So, but yeah, Man of Steel, I thought was okay. I thought it was decent. You have Star Trek Into Darkness. I really liked. Although honestly, I thought it was a little bit forgettable. I liked it. It's a solid film. It's a very solid film, actually. I give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's, I think as far as summer movies go, it's probably one of the best, maybe the second best. We also have The Great Gatsby. I talked about that in my review, how much I hated it. I think I gave it a 2 out of 5. I'm not sure. It was a low 2. That 2 was very generous, I thought, because I really liked Leonardo DiCaprio's performance. I thought it was really, really good. However, the movie itself, the direction, everything else, I thought was utter shit, and I mean that. I absolutely hate it. Maybe I shouldn't say the word shit. That's probably not the best way to say it, because I think that's kind of whatever. Fuck it, shit. I thought it was horrible. I thought it's one of the worst movies of the year. If I had to go back and do a whole nother review, I'd probably give it a 1 to 1.5. I thought the film was actually, in a way, I thought it was offensive to the source material. I mean, now, like I said, I've never actually, well, I mean, I know of the source material. I am familiar with the source material, but I've never actually sat down and, I guess, read it the way it should be read. I kind of have an idea of what it is, and I kind of base it off of that. But I don't know, that the anachronistic music, I thought was, like I said, I thought it was offensive. I thought it was offensive, and I feel like The Great Gatsby could have been so much more. I just thought it had so much more potential to actually be something that was worth, remembering, other than just being a quick cash in. Everyone forgets about it. No one ever talks about it ever again. And that's just the way I feel about it. Moving on, I'm going to talk about Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3, I know a lot of people had their criticisms with it. I totally understand them. I think they're completely justified. The reason why that it, like the movie, and it's mainly due to the twist, the big twist. And if you don't know the twist, I am going to mention it. So the twist, obviously, the villain, the big villain, the Mandarin, turns out to be fake. He's basically this huge pawn, and there's nothing else. He's a front for Guy Pearce's character. I forget his name, but and that's what he was. Some people had a problem with that. Like I said, I understand it. The reason why I think it works is because you take a character that's so overly serious and you put him in this, kind of goofy comedic world like that was Iron Man 3, because Iron Man 3, like I said, it was directed by Shane Black, who directed Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which, very, very similar in the tone, but kind of have, sort of a self-awareness about it. I mean, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is obviously very self-aware. Iron Man has a little bit of that as well. But you take a character that's so serious as Mandarin, and you put him in this world, he just kind of, it was like, every time the little newscast would pop on. You'd have Mandarin kind of coming on television talking about stuff. It just kind of seemed, it was cool, but it kind of seemed a little out of place because like I said, you take the serious character, you put him in that world, doesn't particularly fit, I think, perfectly. And then as it turns out, he's a big joke, and I thought it fit the film quite well, and I think it worked perfectly, and fine. So that's my view on that. I really enjoyed Iron Man 3. As far as summer movies go, it is my favorite. I do think it's the best. I said Man of Steel was my favorite. Then again, that's before I saw Man of Steel again, and I kind of noticed all the problems with it. And then again, I haven't seen Iron Man 3 again, so I can't really comment on it. Although I did kind of want to see it again, but I just never got around to it. But moving on, we have Warm Bodies. Going a little bit further back. This is all out of place, and I apologize. Warm Bodies, I did see that. It was months ago. I really liked it. That's really all I could say about it. If you haven't seen it, do check it out, but I don't really remember much about it, honestly. I mean, I remember it, but I don't really remember it. Just go check out my review. Sorry. Side Effects, my favorite film of the year so far right now. That is my favorite film of the year. Not of the summer, but of the year. And that has come out on Blu-ray and DVD just recently. So if you haven't seen it, it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but if you haven't seen it, check it out. I think it's worth checking out. It's a total, it's one of those movies that is a bit of a mind bender. I enjoy those kinds of movies. I enjoy movies that will just surprise the viewer. I like mysteries, and that's what Side Effects is. Side Effects is a huge mystery, and myself and as well as others have enjoyed it thoroughly. And I don't own it on Blu-ray because I don't buy Blu-rays all the time, but it's a great movie. It's definitely a great watch. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. And that's really all I can say about it. It is Steven Soderbergh. It is a Steven Soderbergh film. He actually came up with another film too this year. It was Behind the Candelabra. It was an HBO film. It wasn't one of his big projects. It was a smaller film, but if you haven't seen it, Behind the Candelabra, it's a fine film as well. Not as good as Side Effects. Side Effects I thought was great. I think it's probably one of Steven Soderbergh's best films. It's highly worth your time. But right now I'm going to talk about some of the movies that I'm looking forward to that are coming out later on this year. First up, I'm going to talk about the one that I am most excited about, and that is Martin Scorsese's Wolf on Wall Street. That just looks absolutely fantastic. Who knows, maybe this time Leonardo DiCaprio might get nominated for an Oscar, unlike last year, which he totally deserved. I mean, he's been nominated before, but I think really last year in Django Unchained, he was incredible and deserved, if not to win, at least get nominated, because I thought he gave probably one of the best performances of the year last year, at least as far as supporting goes. It was a great year for leads, but supporting definitely, without a doubt. But anyway, back to Wolf on Wall Street. Wolf on Wall Street, like I said, it looks fantastic. It is a Martin Scorsese film. Like most people, I am a pretty big Martin Scorsese fan. I really love Goodfellas. That's one of my all-time favorite films. I love The Departed. I love Taxi Driver. Pretty much almost anything that I've seen by him, I've liked, if not loved. So Wolf on Wall Street looks fantastic. I can't wait to see it. It looks incredibly promising. It comes out, I believe it comes out in November. Can't wait. As for another film that I'm greatly looking forward to, that is Inside Llewyn Davis by the Coen brothers. It looks fantastic as well. It's got Oscar Isaac, who you might have seen in Drive, and it's also got Carey Mulligan, and they also play what looks to be a couple. So that's kind of cool. They're teaming up again. But Inside Llewyn Davis, don't really know much about it. There's a trailer for it. I don't really dig deep into the movies that I'm interested in. I like to just kind of watch them, I go to the cinema, watch them, and that's it. I mean, I'll watch a couple of trailers, that's it. I don't really look up clips all that much because, it takes away from the experience sometimes. But, like I said, Inside Llewyn Davis, another one that looks very promising. I'm looking forward to that one. As for the other film that's coming out in about a month or so, that is Neil Blomkamp's Elysium, the District 9 director. I'm a huge fan of District 9. I love District 9. District 9 was probably my favorite movie of 2009. Elysium's trailer looks interesting. I'm really looking forward to it. So, I mean, I don't see why this could be a failure. I think it looks good, and the effects look great as well. And sometime in September, we also have Don John coming out. That is Joseph Gordon-Levitt's directorial debut, or his big directorial debut. He's directed some shorts, but this is his big thing. it looks funny as hell. It looks, I mean, I don't see why it would be bad. It looks very promising from the reviews I've heard from people who have seen it at Sundance and some other film festivals or whatever. People have liked it. It sounds good. You know, it sounds like a movie that's probably going to be one of the better ones of the year. I really like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I really like the movies that he's been in. He's made some great career choices. He obviously has, you know, a good mindset to pick, you know, great projects, and I don't see why this would be any different. I think I'm excited to see what he does. And lastly, I guess, I mean, there's some movies that I missed. I'll get to those in just a second, but this week we have Only God Forgives coming out. That is Nicholas Winding Refn's new film. If you don't know, he's the director of Drive and Bronson, two great films. Only God Forgives, the trailer looks interesting. However, I've heard some pretty bad things about the movie. Obviously, I'm going to check it out for myself. Since I was such a huge fan of Drive and I enjoyed the hell out of Bronson, I gotta check this one out. Who knows? It might be. I might think it's good. It might. Then again, it could be utter shit. So I don't know. Hopefully, it won't be. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I will say this much: the cinematography looks great. From I actually did look up a little clip. The cinematography does look really good. So if anything will be good, hopefully that will. Unfortunately, I won't be able to see it in the cinema. I'm going to watch it on TV because it will be on video on demand because it's getting a limited release, so it will not be where I'm at. So I will have to watch it on TV. Moving on to some of the movies that I missed and I do want to see. I want to see Mud. That's one movie I've been kind of tracking. Eventually, I did kind of give up on it because usually with movies that get limited release, eventually they'll have like a wide release. What will happen is that they will be, I guess, shipped out to like a cinema. They might be there for or the film might be there for like a week or so, and then it will just disappear and you'll never see it again. That's what happened with a few movies I've seen this past year. Mud, I don't know if it even came to my cinema. I'm not even sure. Probably did. I just missed it. But that's one I definitely want to check out. Matthew McConaughey, I've heard he gives an incredible performance in it. I think he's, hell, this past year or the time span of the year, he's really shown what he's capable of. That he's so much more than just this typical, Matthew McConaughey who takes off his shirt and throws a football around. He's so much more than that, and I'm really looking forward to see what he does in Mud because he was great in Killer Joe, and he was also great in Magic Mike, so it sounds really good. But a movie I missed, and I know for a fact it actually was actually at my cinema, but as soon as I actually looked it up to see, I was just kind of checking, okay, I wonder if it's at my cinema. I checked it out that Thursday on Fandango, and it turns out it was there, but I just missed it. Like literally the last day, the day I checked to see where it was, just check and see if it was at my cinema was the last day, and it was already too late because it was like I think 11 o'clock at night, so it was gone. The movie I'm talking about is Before Midnight. I don't know if I mentioned that. It's a film by Richard Linklater. If you don't know, he's directed Bernie, one of my favorite films of last year. He's also directed Dazed and Confused and some other great films. But Before Midnight, it's gotten incredible reviews. I think it's got like a 90-something on Metacritic. That's kind of a big deal, to say the least. But I really want to see it. I do want to check it out. It doesn't typically look like my kind of thing, but even though I do want to check it out, I can appreciate a film even if it's really not for me. I enjoy all kinds of films. I'm always willing to watch anything as long as it's good, because that's just the way I guess I see things. I don't really watch movies just usually based on purely on the subject matter. I like to watch movies that are just damn good filmmaking, and it sounds like this is just damn good filmmaking, so I can totally get on board with that. But anyway, overall, what do I think of this year? I think it's been an okay year. Could have been a lot better. I think it's going to get a lot better. I think in this last quarter here, this last half, it's going to be really something. I think it's really going to start to pick up. Now, earlier in the video, I did play 2 games that have come out this year, and those 2 are BioShock Infinite and Last of Us. And if you haven't played these 2 games, I highly recommend them. And check out my review. I did do reviews for both of these games. They are full in depth. They do have gameplay to them, although it's not the best kind of gameplay because I had to use a camera to capture the footage. It's still gameplay, and I did go in depth on what I thought about the game and everything like that. But honestly, you know, I those two games, Bioshock Infinite and Last of Us, I've been more excited, and I've showed more love for those games that I have, you know, any movie that's come out this year, because honestly, I think that's where creativity's at. I think video games are really starting to evolve. They're really starting to become something more than what they used to be. Obviously, hell, you could just by looking at them. But I mean, as far as storytelling, they really are evolving into stories that have layers, that have characters with layers. They're becoming very well written, and you know, I think. I think Bioshock Infinite is incredible, but you know, Last of Us, I think is you know, some of the best you'll see in a video game right now, and I think it's some really great stuff. And you know, if you haven't played, you know, first of all, if you have a gaming console, pick up, you know, Bioshock Infinite, because it's, you know, multi-platform. But if you have a PS3, you got to play Last of Us, because it's you know, it's really, really something. And storytelling, you know, although it is familiar territory. I mean, obviously it is, you know, zombie apocalypse, that kind of thing. It's what it does. I think, you know, it does take certain notes from you know, stuff like, you know, the Walking Dead comics, not the show, but comics, because the comics are better. It takes certain ideas that you might see in those comics, but I think it's what Last of Us does. It's how it's played out. It's the way it's acted. It's effective. It works, and there's reaction to be had from that stuff, because it's just so, you know, well presented. Honestly, I think in video games is where you're starting to see creativity, unlike something, you know, like a big budget Hollywood film. You know, in these two games, Bioshock Infinite and Last of Us, you see creativity, you see ambition, and you know, you're seeing story and characters that you're just not seeing in those kinds of movies. And I think that's where video games are going. I think video games are slowly becoming just another form of a way of getting your story told. They're quickly becoming that way. And so I can't wait to see what video games will be in 20 years' time, because, you know, the way video games are now are going to be totally different, and hopefully they'll be respected a little bit more, and not just seen as, you know, like the typical, you know, Call of Duty, you know, first person shooter, let's shoot them up kind of stuff or whatever. They'll be actually, you know, respected. So, you know, like I said, I can't wait to see it. If that makes any sense, if I ramble too much, I do apologize. If you've made it to the end of the video, then I do salute you. But again, check out those two games, highly worth your time. And yeah, that's pretty much it. As always, I'm Colin Kirkland, and thanks for watching.